Please don't click away from this video. I have an important message for every one of you. What if I told you we need to talk to each other immediately? I have proof that the world is heading for disasters the likes of which no one can even comprehend because no one has constructed a report using the amount of evidence I have. Do you feel yourself becoming more depressed and addicted to pleasures you have around you? Do you feel you're not living up to what you thought life would be by now? Do you ever feel you need something more from your life? Then this is a perfect video. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create a community where people have some sort of like-mindedness between them, some sort of unity, some sort of common mutual goals where they can get together and talk and be friends and pull each other up by the bootstraps and make sure that they don't get dragged down by society. And what I mean by society is I don't want you to put that with any other thing you might think of as society. What I want you to realize is that society is heading for a cataclysmic event called the lack of meaning and the lack of desire to do anything productive and responsible. What I predict is billions of deaths happening because of this very reason, that people will lose meaning in life. People lose sight of what life could have been, what life should be, and where life is going. They won't realize where it's going. Now, I have evidence for every single thing I say, and more than that, and I take a comprehensive look that no one else yet has ever done to the full extent that I have. And I'm trying to find a mathematical equation to find the most amount of happiness someone can have, not just now and today and next week, but in the long run, not just for you and yourself and your family, but for every single person you ever know. What I want to do is find ways to inspire people. And I think that people are getting lost in what they think life is because they're not told what life should be and can be, and they're not told what life really is. And life is poisonous right now. It's going to drag you down. What I mean by life will drag you down is TV, movies, video games, sex, pleasures. This won't keep you happy for longer than another decade before you get bored of it and life will become meaningless and stagnate into nothingness and depression and nihilism. And you'll end up getting so addicted to these pleasures it won't mean anything anymore. Try eating a cupcake every day for a week. It's not going to be the same cupcake in the end. It's not going to mean the same thing. So what I want to do is inspire people to change, and I want to create a community where everyone gets together online and talks, and no matter what skin color or race or country or culture or background or sexuality or gender, anything of the likes, I want people to find a common goal in defeating the enemy called meaninglessness and nihilism. And I want to be able to prevent crime and drug addiction and mental illness. And the way to do this, I think, is by let's find things that we can all be inspired by, and let's find meaning and happiness and love and teaching people better ways to live and trying to preach about some of the disasters that humanity will be facing. If you take a look online, you'll find that across the board, mental illness is on the rise. And if you look at all the statistics and all the studies and research that has been done on the subject, you'll find that that is a very bad thing for humanity because nothing can be done but the treatment that already isn't working. Now let's say, look what else is on the rise. Drug addiction is on a massive rise across the world, and drug addiction and mental illness go hand in hand, and what I want to do is be able to stop that. And I think that's a major enemy because eventually, if you take a look at what's going on in the world, um, toxic emotions such as anger and toxic ways of being that people can't help oftentimes, like mental illness, can cause things like violence and drug addiction, and that just like a snowball effect, this will avalanche into things like even civil wars and wars if everyone becomes mentally ill and drug addicted and angry, and they will begin to lash out on others, and this creates problems in people's lives, and it can disrupt families and homes and even spread itself like a mind virus to other people. And I have in my possession enough research and studies to prove that you watching this needs to do something about it because eventually it'll hurt you. If it won't be someone who's mentally ill or drug addicted or angry or taking something out on you because of something that happened in their life, it'll be you taking stuff out on other people. It'll be you getting drug addicted. It'll be you being mentally unfit enough, and you won't be able to raise children. You won't be able to take care of your family. You won't want to go to work. Now, what I'm predicting is that the collapse of humanity will happen because of things like this, people not having a proper moral structure, people not being productive and responsible, people not being inspired and motivated, people not having the right aspirations to want to get the good jobs that keep humanity running and keep it propelling forward and keep the freedoms that humanity has been getting as of recently going and keep it sustainable. Another thing that's on the rise is mass shootings. So crime, mental illness, and drug addiction are all on the rise, and that goes for regular crime too. And there's some places it has skyrocketed by over 50%, and sometimes more than 100%. And you look at like it's doubled almost in the last couple of years. And if you look at say 2000, the year 2000, there was only one or two mass shootings. Some reports have said, and if you take a look at where this is going, it's going to be worse than idiocracy. It's going to be the purge, and it's all because people aren't. What makes a good human human? What makes them good? What makes a person not want to commit crimes? What makes a person not want to do drugs? What makes a person have mental illness but also be productive and responsible and want to get a good job? And what makes people into who they are? That's the stuff I study: human behavior, history, politics. I take a look across a bunch of different various subjects that all, if I were to combine together into some sort of forensic style research, I can conclude with 100% accuracy that humanity is only going to get worse and worse and worse until it eventually collapses. The things that keep society propelling forward and keep um, humans like a conveyor belt being pumped out from that conveyor belt into being productive, responsible, happy, loving, caring, empathetic people that do good for their neighbor and do good for their family and go to work on time and hold the door open for people and are polite and respectful. Those things will collapse through the roof of humanity and the foundation of humanity will eventually collapse in, and there will be massive, I would say even billions of death. The end of the world could happen because of something laying dormant, like the cancer that is the lack of belief, the lack of wanting to be empathetic and caring and have all these good positive attributes. And I would say there are a few jobs that keep humanity propelling forward, such as police and doctors and psychiatrists and ambulance workers and nurses and things like that. But you also got to look at who becomes those people and why do those people want to be those jobs. And there's also an efficiency rate where, I mean, not every doctor is the same amount of intelligence. Not every police officer is the same amount of corruption, which should be zero. There are police officers that are corrupt. There are doctors that are corrupt. Humanity itself is becoming more and more corrupt, and this is because they don't have the proper moral structures to want to be empathetic and good, and people are looking up to the wrong role models. People don't have proper role models when they're growing up anymore, and people are becoming more and more corrupt day by day, and eventually, I am predicting that there will be mass shootings almost every day. I'm predicting that there will be skyrocketing crime where crime will double almost every couple months, and it won't go back down. It won't stagnate. It won't level off like people say. This will get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse until people in my community is the first one to take a look at this, keep on doing it. So what I need to do is I need to get a bunch of people that are willing to do something, even if it's just by spreading my YouTube, even if it's just by talking to me. And I want to hear back from people who can tell me what they thought of this video and where it needs improvement, which I'll be getting better cameras, I'll be getting better audio, I'll be getting better everything needed to get this going and up and running and get some sort of operation going that doesn't take a look at the left or right dichotomy of politics, and it doesn't take a look at skin color or race or cultural background, in the sense that all my community will do is aim to unite people and create a community that doesn't really care if you're on the left or the right and only aims to stop the hate, stop the division before something bad happens. Because who becomes racist? Who becomes people who are divided? Who becomes people who are misinformed? It's people that don't have the proper education. It's people that don't have the proper moral systems to guide them along in life and keep them happy and having meaning in their life and kindness and love and empathy. So no matter whether you're into religion or not, whether you're into politics or not, it doesn't matter. What does matter is that humanity is on a train tracks, and there's a train coming, and no one knows what it is. Most people think of war or a nuclear war as the biggest threat, but why might a nuclear war happen? Is it because of division? Is it because of anger? Is it because of all the above? Is it because of meaninglessness? Is it because of people who aren't educated? Is it because of people who aren't doing good in life? Is it because of mental illness? Because of drug addiction? Because it will be if you take a look at something like this called Idiocracy. This movie is a sad depiction, and it's a look at the future of humanity where everyone's into sex and drugs and they are basically blind to how to run society, and they are watering their plants with Brando, not understanding why or how that's bad. And I think um, humanity will actually be worse than this because this is how it's going to be. Who's gonna be the mechanics if no one wants to be mechanics? Who's gonna wanna build stuff if no one learns how? Who's gonna wanna be kind and respectful and polite? Who's gonna wanna have empathy if they're not taught how or they're not taught why? People need motivation to become good people. People aren't born good, they're made good. People aren't exactly born bad, they're made bad. They're not taught how to be good, so they become bad. They become bad fruit on the tree that is humanity growing good or bad people. And I want to make humanity not become this. And so, metaphorically speaking, I'm like this guy trying to teach everyone else, and I'm not going to claim to be the best or that I know everything cuz I don't want to come across bad or arrogant or rude. I basically just want to let people know that eventually, mental illness is on the rise, drug addiction is on the rise, crime is on the rise, and there's no sight of it stopping. And people must take a look at why is there crime? Why is there mental illness? Why is there drug addiction? The reasons for those things aren't just mentally ill people mating with other mentally ill people and drug addicts mating with drug addicts. It's the fact that they breed each other. Each and every one of those subjects breed each other. So what I think needs to be done is that people need to look more into the future in the sense that what is life going to be like 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What is life going to be like next week? Because no one saw the disasters coming, at least specifically for the most part by most people in the world, the events in Ukraine or other events throughout life and throughout history. And I think that it can easily be predicted that there will be billions of casualties, if not everyone on the face of this earth, if something isn't done about the threat of nihilism, which is meaninglessness, and crime and mental illness and drug addiction, and the addiction to things like um, media and entertainment and TV and sex and any pleasures, any addictions, and people are getting addicted to what they thought life has to be like, and people are being put into these um, belief boxes and who they think they should be boxes, in the sense that you probably think wherever you work, whatever your job is, you probably think that's the only thing you should be. You probably think you're already doing good enough. I mean, I don't want to project what I think of most humans, or some humans at least, onto you if you're watching this, but you're definitely not all you can be yet, and neither am I, neither is anyone. That everyone has the room for potential, the potential to get better day by day, and I think that everyone should have a goals list. I think that everyone should have a camera where they record good days or parts of good days to remember when there's bad days. Because there was an adventure show called Adventure Time. There was an episode of Adventure Time where Jake the dog went out to prepare for the storm when they were going to be underground by recording a bunch of good events. Like I just recorded a double rainbow, and I think that if I were to be depressed or sad, I could look at the double rainbow in the future, and I think that um, that's something to practice on and enhance is gratefulness and mindfulness, and be grateful and mindful of the things going on in the world and around you, and that you should be grateful for your job even if you don't like your boss or your job, and that you should learn how to maximize the happiness you get when you get home from work, or for every customer. I want people to feel, or whatever you work, but if you're working with clients, you should feel that you should make it your priority to want to make your clients happy or make your customers happy. So no matter what job you're doing, you should learn how to feel happy about it and then feel proud of it. What makes someone feel proud and what makes someone feel proud about what? Where and why did they get these values instilled in them, these behaviors, these personality traits? Why do people become who they become and how can that be altered and changed and crafted and sculpted and aimed in a different direction? Because it seems to me everyone is going down slowly in the sense that, especially with the newer generations being addicted to things like TikTok and social media, and as they grow up, parents won't know how to be parents, and it'll be like kids teaching kids how to be kids, teaching everyone how to be like basically one single celled organisms in the sense that in the future, no one's going to want to be doctors. No one's going to want to be police officers. And if they do, they're going to be corrupt police officers. Like, that's a big problem now. They're going to want to be lazy doctors. They're not going to feel proud of their jobs. They're not going to feel happy. And that's something that I think can lead to a society that is a nightmarish, evil version of Idiocracy, as Idiocracy was a comedy, but now I guess you can look at it like a documentary if you to look at the new younger generations where language is going to keep getting dumbed down to the point where I mean it's going to be all slang words, especially in the West. I'd say mostly the West, but and the West is like a cancerous entity upon the rest of the world, soaking up all the resources and exporting a culture that is destroying the youth. And I think that any parent who watches this should be concerned. And it might be harder for you to join my community if you're a parent or you have a family to look over. But you can still do your part by maybe educating yourself on some of the topics that I do, even for just 5-10 minutes a day, and make it your goal and goals list to become happier. And even someone, and why should this pertain to you or even anyone watching this? I mean, wouldn't it be happier to not live a life where you just get obese or you don't work out and you die of heart disease? I mean, I'm not calling anyone any mean names. I'm just simply stating the fact that without proper motivation to be responsible and productive, you might fall short and stagnate. And if you stagnate, that could affect the people around you, your friends. It could affect your family. It could affect your children. It could affect even your parents if you have a close relationship with your parents. And that's something that everyone needs to do is learn how to become better, not just for themselves, but for the people around them, and find motivation and the inspiration to want to get better for the people around them and for themselves, to hope that their dreams will come true, and also fix their dreams and make sure they're not too materialistic or covetousness and all these other things. You don't want your dreams to just be about money and sex and pleasure, because those are the dreams that society gave you. Society told you that you need to be good looking, that you need to have the right clothes. Society told you that you have to be cool. Society told you to enhance your ego and to enhance your id and get rid of your super ego. Society is telling you to be unhealthy. Society is telling you to obey and to eat and to have sex. Society is telling you to get addicted. Society wants you addicted to these values, these personality traits, these behaviors, so they can soak up all the money you have. They want to soak up all the money you have. They want to soak up all your happiness. They want you not happy, so they can soak up more of your money because you'll be buying more stuff because you're not happy. If you're buying more stuff because you're not happy, then you won't be happy. But you buying more stuff, you might start doing drugs. You might start stealing. You never know. So what I want to do is stop that, because society and humanity itself got here because of the hardworking, empathetic people that, whether they were religious or not, no matter what color, race, or background, they did the hard work for themselves and for others, and it paid off in the end by now we're all living in a world. If you have the opportunity to see this and watch this and listen to this and share it and spread it and tell your friends about it, you have the opportunity to, you might have a job, you might have a car, you might have a bike, at least you might have anything, you might have anything. And to have anything at all, more than nothing, is still something. And there are people you should be mindful about and feel grateful for, that there's people in other countries suffering, and it's because of our ignorance over here, not just in the West, but anywhere in the world. And that there's something called, I don't 100% believe in it. I mean, it's just something I saw from a TV show, the law of hemodynamics, where it says something about, like, if for every bit of happiness, there's misery somewhere. And that's true. I'm not saying that happiness causes misery, and at least that's not like a direct 100% correlation, but there is something to be studied about that, where when people are happy, they often get lazy. They stagnate. They become less grateful and mindful. It doesn't mean as much to them. Lose their meaning in life. They get too happy, too complacent. And that's what people need to watch out for, these things, and learn how to have the best routine that fluctuates and have the best diet. And don't you want to live a good life and then die happy? Or do you really want to die of heart disease and or obesity? Do you want to become so addicted to sex and pleasure and drugs that just nothing ever gets done in your life? Don't you want to feel proud when you clean, happy when you clean? Don't you want to feel proud and happy when you do things for your family and for anyone in your life? Don't you want to have friends that bring you up instead of pull you down? And that's what my community is doing. It's preparing for the future. It's like those people that prepare for the apocalypse. I'm not preparing for the 100% literal apocalypse. That's not the right way to put it. What I'm preparing for is the emotional apocalypse, the mental apocalypse, the apocalypse, the end of the um, reality where people are happy and productive and caring and smart and empathetic and polite to each other, where people hold the doors open for people, and people work out, and people have dreams and aspirations. Where I fear for the day where life will be nothing but a nightmare, and people will hate their job, people will hate their neighbor, people will want to steal, they will wish bad things happening to anyone, even just for any reason, not even just people who wrong them, not even just people who they don't like, but people will wish for bad things to happen just because they're bored and just because they just don't like. People might not at first might not admit it, where people will be so angry and bitter, resentful and unforgiving on the inside, where when they see disasters happening in the world, they get happy about it, they get too excited, they overexcited, and that's a sign, that's a symptom that there's something else going on in the world. Where imagine if you were so angry at someone, you see someone fall and you just can't help but to like it. And I don't want to shame people for that. I'm just saying it's a symptom that something is going on in humanity, where there's a quote by Carl Jung saying, I am the enemy who must be loved, and that everyone is an enemy to themselves and to the public and to the whole world, and everyone has part of this guilty by association. And I think that everyone should take that into account and think, well, what better could I do for my society? I don't just mean charity. I don't just mean giving things away to the homeless. I mean, um, how can you become so productive and responsible that it'll help you, your family, and the future of humanity all at the same time in a way that will also just make you feel proud of yourself and instill these good emotions. And it's not too late, because a lot of people have to be raised perfect or in a more perfect way to 100% be like that or overcome some sort of adversity in their life. I think that's the best way to get good people, is have people instilled the proper values when they grow up, or overcome a bunch of hardships in life and learn through those experiences in their life. And those are the two biggest things that create good people. um, and that there's a third way to do it, which is what I'm studying, and that's lots of education about what life is, what life can be, what life was, how it got here, and teach people what really being human is. Because there's something called the art of war, where there's a quote that says, "Know thyself and know thy enemy, and you'll win all your battles." That's not a 100% direct quote, but it's to teach people that if the enemy is life, the enemy is in you, and life is in you, and you're in life, that you must know yourself and know what life is, and know what life can be and what it was, and know everything that you need to know to be able to pull yourself up. And you could be more than working 40 hours a job. You could be more than more than working 40 hours a week. You could be more than your job. You could be more than even striving to be the manager at your job. You could be more than that. You could be someone who imagine someone who, like, I like to, like, imagine feeling proud of as many things as possible, having hobbies, having as many productive friends where you can pool your money together and go on vacations and plan things out and be feel proud and feel happy of having a routine and a schedule. Feeling proud and feeling happy of even just waking up in the morning, feeling happy and grateful, and whether you're religious or not, feel thankful and grateful for these things, and thank God, or thank your hard work and your devotion for every meal you eat, for um, everything you do, every activity, every time you work out, every time you do this, every time you do that, and try and just be the best you can. Because there might be a day where you regret not following this video. There might be a day where you regret not looking into my other videos. There might be a day where you regret anything in life, and regret is a really bad thing in life that can really weigh people down. And the adversity and suffering in life can weigh people down to the point where they don't care, they don't have the motivation, they don't have the they don't have the inspiration and motivation to do anything in life, and all they want is to just get dragged down, thinking, well, at least I'm happy dragging myself down now, but yeah, but what about in 10 years? You're gonna regret not doing something. You're gonna regret not living life. Not doing something is what you're going to regret. And I think that people need to learn to do something. Better than nothing. Better, it's better late than never. Instead of thinking, well, someone else will do it. I think that's a very common belief system that humans have is someone else will do it. Someone else will be the police officer, or someone else will be the firefighter, someone else will be the mechanics, someone else will be the scientist, someone else will invent things, someone else will hold the door open, someone else will do this, someone else will that. And I don't expect you or any individual person to do everything, but just like a bunch of sticks that can't break if they're piled together, that's how humanity has to be. Humanity has to work as one machine, one body, one organism. And right now, the organism that humanity is someone. If humanity were to be portrayed as one organism and one person, it would be someone who is basically blind in the sense they don't understand where they're going. They don't understand what reality really is, so they're like blind. And humanity is also walking off a cliff that doesn't know is really there, because no one knows what events will lead to what events, how interconnected everyone is, and how close the world really is to an apocalypse or World War III. Even if you just want to look at just mental illness and drug addiction, crime being on the rise, and lack of meaning and addiction to pleasure in and of itself could cause an apocalypse after a long time. Um, so, and then another thing is that humans are so divided with, not just countries and cultures, but also races and religions and skin colors and identities and this and that. Anyways, humans think they have to divide each other and claim authority of authority over or clinging on to a way of dividing themselves, and also having a sense of xenophobia to other groups or whatever ways humans define themselves is a epidemic in of itself and needs to be taken care of through people seeing through the lens of everyone's the same to the best of their ability. Because humans do divide themselves in ways of a processing me- mechanic, in that, like, all right, humans process information, and in order to simplify the information that everyone's processing in their brains, humans like to divide each other in ways, and that can be natural only to some extent. And what happens is that people start dividing each other in ways that become racist, and that's bad. That's not a good balance. Like, it's you have to see blue versus red, or you have to see like up versus down, day versus night. That's to simplify things and divide things up so you can actually see and process information. And people might simplify things in their brain, but after a while it gets complicated. Even describing this is complicated. And I study many things in life and subjects, and people are beginning to divide each other in ways that they also become xenophobic and just so divisive, and they cling on to these identities and these groups. And that's the thing that is happening, is that humans are looking for a group to be part of and a herd to be a part of. People are looking for something or someone to identify as. And I don't just mean color or sexuality. I mean even a group of people, or like a way of living, a lifestyle to feel a part of. And more people are going to be dragging each other down. And especially with the online virtual space that's going on, people are going to be dragging each other down more and more and more. And I want there to be as many positive outlets for people as possible before something bad happens and everyone just becomes so corrupt that people will accept it as normal and no one will even care anymore. So I need people to really pay attention to this message and hope that people will get what I'm talking about and want to investigate me further. And I'll be making better videos and getting an actual camera and doing things right to get this going. But I hope that someone can see the utility in what I'm talking about, and the importance and the significance of what I'm talking about, how truly important it really is to make people more aware of what's going on.